Over my time on YouTube, I've had the privilege of being sent gear from many a manufacturer, just camera accessories, cameras themselves, or just lenses and things like that. There's a lot of gear that I get sent that you just won't see. I use the product, I like it, but I just don't feel necessarily the need to share that with people on this channel. And that's mostly for the simple fact, and it's the title of this video, gear stopped mattering because all the gear is good. Yes, the gear matters in respect to what you're doing. And I just want to make that very, very clear. I can't be on assignment for an iconic magazine and have a 12 o'clock Eastern deadline for a soccer match and then go out and shoot everything on a Canon AE1 and expect to be able to get everything I need shooting on 100 ISO film at an 8 p.m. game. That's not going to work. So gear matters relative to what your expectation is or what's being expected of you. There's like some nuances as far as what is pro and prosumer and, you know, beginner level and stuff like that. But as far as in respects to the pro and prosumer side, it's really encroaching every single day on those two just meshing all together. But we're sincerely at the point to where even whenever it comes to the photography side, when you're taking images, unless you are making a huge jump in sensor technology, like from Micro Four Thirds to, you know, like a GFX lineup, you're not really going to see a huge jump without pixel peeping in the amount of, you know, image quality. I mean, I've been using OM system cameras for a little bit now, and I've kind of kept it under the wraps, but the images that I take from this camera are fantastic. And yeah, I could always go for a bigger sensor like full frame, APS-C even, GFX, and be able to catch these images and be able to blow them up to 300%. But that's not what my composition is. And if I want a certain composition that's a little bit tighter, I could just get a telephoto lens and just get that tighter composition. It's just... I remember when we used to do that. And then again, I still shoot film. I shoot a lot of 645 and a lot of panoramic on a OneGo 120 pan. I'm shooting a lot of slide film. Shout out to John, my Fujifilm Connect for the Velvia and stuff like that. If I want something that is, you know, super high resolution, I don't necessarily need a digital medium format or a, you know, digital full frame camera, a smaller frame camera, as I like to call them. What I'm trying to say is that for a lot of the things that we're trying to do, the technology that we have in cameras is just kind of plateaued, period, because the technology behind everything with the computational photography, with the, you know, they call it AI, like Sony and Canon and stuff like that, and Fujifilm for being able to eye track and everything. We've just gotten really good from a technological standpoint at making great cameras. And it's been that way since 2017. I mean, you can go back and get yourself an XH1 and you're going to have a fantastic side from the still side. And then for video, as long as you're able to train yourself on how to grade and how to light 8-bit footage, you're not going to be hurt. I mean, there are people that are making a living off of Sony's 8-bit cameras with the ZV-E10 II or something like that, and their A6000 series. 8-bit footage isn't a death sentence, especially if you know how to color grade and you know how to expose images, period. And I think even to the fact that the Blackmagic Pocket 4K and the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, Micro Four Thirds and APS-C censored cameras, whenever it comes to cinema quality, because the raw imaging, I mean, we've had that for so long, it just, we're at a plateau. And I don't always feel comfortable recommending gear, telling you all the gear I'm using, or trying to convince you to switch to another manufacturer or use something, because I don't think you necessarily need to always upgrade. And if you do upgrade, I think you can upgrade to something 2-3 years prior and do more than well enough, especially if you're looking for something niche. Me, I've been shooting a lot of fine art photography, still landscape, portraits, things like that. I've stepped away from sports photography, not because I don't have a passion for it or it's not fun, but because the travel sucks, the pay is horrible. And honestly, it's cool taking photos of athletes and stuff, but man, it's just another person with money that doesn't know I exist, and it helps my portfolio a little bit, I guess. What I'm really getting paid on is my street photography and my landscape and nature photography. That is the stuff that is getting me in galleries. That is the stuff that is getting me paid and, you know, selling prints. And for something like what I'm doing, I don't really need a GFX because I'm not looking to really print something grandiose. And if I need something really large, the OM system cameras, they have this ability to do this, you know, high res mode where they're taking like 8 shots at one time. I don't know what it does, but it gives me like a 60 megapixel image and an 80 megapixel JPEG. And honestly, that's more than enough for what I need. I was doing that on Lumix. I'd done that on Fujifilm, and GFX is just its own thing. But, you know, I prioritized weight and size over anything. And yeah, it's been great. But I'm not probably going to make a video about this OM3 ever. And it's not because I wouldn't recommend this camera, but because I feel like every time that I highlight a camera or a lens or something, that's me co-signing that you need to go out there and buy it. And I don't necessarily want to do that. Now, I don't mind giving information about stuff, but I don't want to give you information on things that will make you go out and make an irrational purchase, especially if you don't have the money. I'm a big believer in if you can afford it immediately in cash, then you should be allowed to buy something. But if you have to put something on credit and it's going to accrue interest and you don't have a light at the end of the tunnel to pay it off. It's just the idea of when I get there, I get there. It's a horrible choice to make. And that tells me you don't necessarily need to make the change. You just want to make the change. Now, this is something that I've kind of battled back and forth with because I love Leica cameras. I love to shoot Leica cameras, but I didn't really review any of my Leica lenses or my Leica bodies. I kind of use them as examples when talking about maybe focal lengths or just, like rangefinder patches in general. But I didn't really want to talk about those cameras strictly because I don't want to give people the idea that because I used one of those cameras, that's the reason why I took the photos I took that you may have liked or that I was getting the work that I was getting, because it absolutely wasn't. A lot of the work that majority of people purchase from me or love came on Fujifilm cameras, and more specifically the X Pro 3. No one cares which is which and what's better and what camera you use and what lens. They're kind of just looking at the image. And that's the thing that I really want to stress in this video is just because something's more expensive doesn't make it better. Just because Leica has a price tag or a lineage or it has a weight or a heft to the actual camera body, that doesn't make it a better camera body than anything else in the market. And if all that you can afford is the only M6 you can afford is the Canon M6 Mark II, buy that Canon M6 Mark II and start taking photos. If the only thing that you can afford in regard to a film camera is a Nikon F3 or an Olympus OM1, buy that Nikon F3 or Olympus OM1 and start taking photos. What matters more than the camera brand that you have and the price that is associated with it is if you're actually good at taking photos. And if you're not good at taking photos, well, you can look at the Leica forums, the Circle Jerk forums, the analog forums on Reddit, or you can listen to people wax poetic online that have more opinions about photography than good photos being taken during the time of photography. And I think that speaks more to what I'm trying to say than anything else. I think one of the things that a lot of people get mistaken with whenever it comes to photography is that, someone else's opinion and someone else's response to the way a camera feels or takes photos or a lens or some gear, that because they shoot something similar to them is going to be their exact experience. I think that is something that is very dangerous to get into. You have to figure out what you like for yourself. If you're willing to spend a few $1,000s on a camera that maybe, you may or may not like, then you should be willing to spend $100 on a 7-day rental from something like a lens rental or from a local manufacturer so that you can figure out if you even like this camera, if you like the files, or if you just like the way it looks, you like what it sounds like when it comes to reviews, and you like that other people made good photos on it. That's a huge thing. Do you like the camera and is the camera for you, or did you assign a feeling of the towards the camera because of someone else's response to it? Anyway, with all that being said, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I hope you appreciate what I said. Yeah, man, gear's just good. You can get anything and it's going to be just fine. We plateaued, so some things matter more. All that being said, take it light, but take it, and have a good one. Oh yeah, before I forget, fuck ice.